Hey guys, welcome back to the Arctic edition of Let's Get Dirty Garage, where outside temperature, well, there isn't one. It's not negative, it's not positive, it just isn't one. So anyways, but got some battery powered gloves and some battery powered socks, and we'll see if we can't muddle through. And today I think we'll tackle a little bit of the firewall cleanup. I want to try and smooth that out and kind of make sure that we can get things attached to it and still make it look decent. So we got a whole ton of stuff to do, and obviously the pace is going to be a little bit slower because it's cold and I'm old, and you know, a couple hours and I'm good. So anyways, we'll pick it up and see if we can't get something accomplished. So let's go ahead and let's get dirty. Is this thing on? Yeah. Okay, so the first step I want to try and accomplish, working on that firewall, is figuring out brake booster and master cylinder and all that fun attachment. Obviously, we've modified the El Camino brake pedal thing, this thing, in order to fit into and tie into that Camaro cross-car dash support, which is good. So everything's tied in there, and did some measuring, and the pedal ratios are really close. I'm going to end up using the Camaro calipers and rotors and brake system basically. So I'd like to be able to use the booster and the master cylinder because it's already the right size for the brakes that run the Camaro. So I don't have to buy anything fancy, and I already got it. So yeah, being cheap. So anyways, couple of things. I mean, the pedal ratios are close. I mean, the Camaro is like 3.7, El Camino is like 3.5, so close enough for who it's for. But the issue really kind of comes down to the way that the booster is mounted on the El Camino and all GMA bodies. They mount them on an angle. They got these brackets back here and these bolts from the brake pedal bracket stick through the firewall from the inside. On the Camaro, it's basically a straight shot, and I got the Camaro booster that I rebuilt. And by rebuilt, I mean I wiped a couple layers of dust off and spray painted it, but it mounts straight, and the bolts are from the booster through the firewall from the outside. So that doesn't match up very well. So my thought is, well, it gets me in trouble, but the booster for the GMA bodies are mounted on these brackets that kind of space things out. I think what I can do is actually make a set of brackets that I can mount this Camaro booster to and put that angle in it, because if I go straight into here, then I don't meet the mounting point. It's got to be angled down. So I got to mount this on an angle, and I think to do that I can take some angle iron. I can drill out, mount one side to one side like that. And then kind of make an angle out of another piece, and basically do like a bracket similar to that. So that's the plan. So I'm going to take some measurements, and then let's see if we can't make some brackets and figure out how to attach 50 years of technology apart. So we will pick it up at that point. Oh boy. Okay, first thing we got to do is knock some holes in these little angle iron that I've cut out. So got it measured out and kind of spaced, I think, where it's supposed to be. So we'll make some holes and do some trials. Okay, let's see if we guess close. Okay, after a couple of minor adjustments, I got these brackets to fit on there, and then these brackets will go on this, but this is just a little bit wider, this where it comes out, so I've got to do a little surgery and remove a little bit of this. And then essentially I can put those two brackets together, kind of aim them in the right direction, and then end up with a bracket that's got an angle on it that shoots this to the right spot there, and then we can cut this portion off and weld them together. So that's the thought. So let me clearance out these in order to fit down on there, and then we will pick it up at that point. Okay, so I got those two brackets kind of clearanced out and bolted to the booster, and those two brackets fit to the pedal, and I think if I can, kind of overlap those, but really I just want to get to the point where I can point the brake pedal rod, what you call it, to the hole. Then I can, make an educated guess on cutting this bracket, cutting these brackets, and what angle I need to cut in order to make that, take this piece and weld it to that piece and kind of duplicate that bracket. So I'm gonna fuss with that a little bit and probably just kind of clamp those together. I think what I'll do is I'll cut these long bolts off of the back of this booster because I really don't need those sticking out, and then kind of try and fit and figure out angles and stuff like that. So that's the plan, and we will go from there. All right, so I got those brackets cut off at an angle that pretty closely matches the original. So I got things lined up so the push rod will meet the connection point there. So I'm gonna pull these, let's pull these brackets off, and weld the two halves together and make a single bracket out of it. Round some corners off and actually get them kind of painted up, I think, and make them look like they're gonna belong there. So I think that'll be the next step. We'll get these zapped together and do a little bit of grinding, and we should be good to go, I hope. So we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I got these brackets welded up and bolted together, and I think actually it kind of resembles the original ones on the Elco pretty good. So that will attach. Now we just got to figure out an attachment here, and I think basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this off and then chop this off. Weld the two together and find a happy medium in there. So we'll pick that one up next. Okay, so I got the end from the Elco chopped off and the end from the Camaro chopped off and kind of in alignment there. So I'm going to tack these together and then pull this apart and then go finish welding this stuff up. So. Give us the proper alignment and a little bit of adjustability from the Elco side, because this rod can adjust in and out. So we will pull this off, finish up that welding, and I think we'll paint up these brackets and then try and put this in the car and see how close we got. So we will pick it up at that next step. Okay, so I got those brackets all painted up and bolted on, got everything in there, put the master cylinder on there, but I think that connects up pretty good. I think the brackets will do what the brackets are supposed to do, and it's connected to the pedal on the inside. So I think we have a start to the brake system. So call that a win at this point. And I think next I'd like to try and tackle this wiper motor mounting thing. I mean, I know the wiper motor is supposed to go right here in this location, but I'd really like to have that smooth and clean. So let's see if we can find another spot for it and figure out how to make it work someplace else. So that'll be next. Okay, so I went ahead and put the wiper motor in where it's supposed to go to try and figure out, you know, I've got all these holes and divots and widgets and so on in the firewall I want to clean up. Had great thoughts about actually trying to relocate the wiper motor, but this beast has hidden wipers on it where it's got like an extra function where it drops them below the cowl, and I just couldn't figure out where I could mount this and have space for linkage and all sorts of stuff without having to completely re-engineer the whole system. So we'll put it there. So I think it'll work, but at this point, next step to try and figure out how to smooth all this out, I have to pull the engine trans out. So I think that we can get some space in there and kind of figure out a strategy on what to do and where to go and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, big fun. By the way, yeah, I think I got the world's rudest neighbor. The other day, come knocking on my door at 3 a.m. just to tell me he was having trouble falling asleep. It's a good thing I was still up playing my drums, or he wouldn't have had anybody to talk to. Okay, well, let's get some work done. Okay, so engine is out. We know that the brakes will fit and work. The wiper motor will fit and work. And got a couple of choices. I mean, I could cut all this stuff out and replace it with sheet metal. But I think actually what I'm going to do is just go right over the top of this and put in just another flat sheet, so I don't want to cut out the structure and so on. But to do that, got quite a bit of, lips and humps and bumps to pound out and try and get flat so I can get a sheet to fit flat over that. So I think we'll pick it up with that and try and get some of these lips and other random assorted attachment things out of the way. See if we can't, because there's a lot of random holes and stuff that won't be using. And we'll see if we can't get that get ground down smooth. So we'll do that next. Okay, well, I think that's fairly clean. I think the plan will be to take it to, I'm going to leave this indentation for the wiper motor, obviously, and then maybe bring this across here, and then follow this line down and up. Got to leave the mounts for the fenders in place. But one thing I'm going to do as well is I'm going to cut this weld lip off here. It was kind of the attachment point between the firewall and the cowl and so on. I'm going to cut that off, and I got to get back to, back where the fender covers this, so I can have kind of a smooth transition across there. So we'll lay out some lines and figure out what we want to do, and get out the sparkly wheel of terror and do some cutting. So I think that'll go next. Okay, well, it turns out this flange under here is just about the same as the width of a roll of random tape that I had. So I'm gonna, I guess, just go ahead and slice in. We'll figure it out as we go along. Okay, so just working on this spot because I won't be putting a sheet over here, but this is kind of what I'm looking for, is that smooth transition, kind of a waterfall look, just from the cowl to the panel, and I can body work this, all the dents and dings out of this one, but that's kind of what I'm envisioning that top surface to look for. I mean, the cowl seal is actually up in here, so that won't interfere, and we'll keep a kind of a clean look to the engine compartment. So that's what we're after. So let's go ahead and make a template for the rest of this and figure out from there. All right, well, I've made this exquisite looking CAD model in order to find the right size and shape and, you know, bendages and stuff like that to try and smooth out that firewall. So we'll just pull that off and see if we can lay that out and cut a piece of metal. So that'll be next. All right, well, I got a piece of metal cut out, or marked out and cleaned up, and got out every cutting tool I own. So we'll see if we can't make this wonderful shape here out of all this fun stuff. So let's get to slicing this out and see what happens. Okay, we'll clean up some edges and get all the bumps and ripples out of it and see kind of how it fits on the car and go from there. Okay, so I got the edges a little bit cleaned up, and now comes the long process of trying to fit that and get the edges to match and fun stuff like that. So I'm going to try and just get this in place real quick. And I'll probably throw a couple of screws in it just because I want to be able to repeat the locations that we are going for. Because this tape is not going to be strong enough to hold this where I want it, I don't think, but it'll get me a start here. Okay. Top edge doesn't look too bad. We'll throw a couple of self-tappers in it for repeatability. Make sure that we can get it back in the same spot more than once. I think that'll be good for the first fit here. Now it's just a matter of trying to, get all the edges to the point where I know where I've got to attach them, and make sure that we are fitting all kind of the curves and whoop-de-doos of the car. And take some more off here. We can kind of grind that to fit as we go. And bend this piece over to try and fill in that gap. I think with kind of a start, let me see if I can get that bent over, fill in that hole in there. Kind of got it marked out where I think it needs to be bent. I don't know if I can do it with these or whether I got to take it to the vise. Yeah, I think I better take it to the vise. Maybe not. Going to take some hammer work, I think. Okay, well, I think we got a bit of a start at it. Kind of a big gap there. We'll have to figure out how to fill, but I'll take a little bit off of that. But let's clean up some of those edges, see if we can't make some progress here. I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and kind of do the same thing all the way around so I can get a good spot to weld and be able to finish there. A little bit of fitting and hammering up in this corner, you know, and basically grind around the perimeter of it so I can get it to the point where I've got it basically even with where I want to attach it. So I'm going to do that and get this fitted up, and then we can start prepping the firewall and all that fun stuff in order to get this actually installed permanently. So I'll continue on with that and do a little bit of bending and forming and lots of grinding. So we will pick it up from there. All right, well, I got this pretty much ground to fit. I think at least got a welding surface most of the way around. So at this point, I gotta finish cleaning up the paint and the schmutz and all that fun stuff from the firewall. I'm going to treat the back side of this and then also the firewall with some weld through primer, and then we should be ready to kind of get it up in there in place and do some welding. So that'll be next, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I got both pieces primered up, and I think with the primer on there you can really see how many holes and dimples and divots and everything else was in there. So it's pretty ugly even if it's painted pretty. So I think we're ready to kind of stick this in place, and I think what I'll do is take some of the panel bonding adhesive we've used before, put a few globs around it because I want to make sure these two don't rattle and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just put a few blobs around. Got a little bit left in here, so should be enough. Just to make sure that it doesn't rattle and do all sorts of nasty stuff. So, but being as it's like 12 degrees in the shop, this is going to take some time to cure. But I think what I'll do is just get this up in place. Took about an hour and a half for the primer just to dry up. So you know it's cold. So I think that should do. Don't really want to get it on any welding points or anything, but let's see here. Okay, so we'll stick this in place. And kind of get that stuff smushed around in there. Then what I'll do is I'll just weld it in a couple of spots, just kind of tack it in place. Make sure it's got a little bit of clamping force, I guess, for this stuff. Really don't want to put a whole bunch of screw holes through this thing if I don't have to. Okay, so let's just zap a few spots on the edges, try and get that held in place, and then we'll come back probably tomorrow and try and get the rest of that welded up. So Okay, well, I think that will do for tonight. We'll let that epoxy set up in there. Keeps everything kind of clamped together. And that way we should be able to come back tomorrow after that sets up. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit since it's so cold out. And we will finish getting the perimeter all welded and cleaned up. And I think we'll have a firewall. So we'll go from there. All right, well, it is a good solid couple of days later. I let that epoxy dry, and I used all of my mediocre welding skills, and I'm not kidding, I used both standing and sitting. But and got the bottom and the perimeter done. So all I really got left to do is this top across here, and this is going to be a little bit tricky. This is obviously a lap joint, but there's 3 layers of edges that I got to seal up and kind of get together. I mean, there's a top of the cowl and the inner lower cowl, and then the original firewall, and then this one. So we'll see how many holes we can burn in this, and see if we can't get this all in one piece here. So wish me luck. Okay, well, I think we are in pretty good shape. I definitely have some smoothing out with body work to do and so on, but we do have a flush firewall. Just threw some primer at it that's actually running right off of it because it's so cold out here. So we'll let that dry up, and then we'll take a look and see what we did and go from there. All right, well, this is kind of what we ended up with, and trying to get that waterfall looking edge in there. We'll have to clean that up a little bit as we get into body work and so on, but I think for the most part we've got smooth firewall and reasonable looking weldages, and we can fix the rest of it and any body work that we got going on. But yeah, I think that'll look a lot better underneath the hood, and try and keep all the edges. We have to do a little bit of cleanup there, but we are basically flat. So we're going to call that a win and go from there. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Let's Get Dirty Garage. I got a ton of cleanup to do around here because I got welding debris everywhere. So, but anyways, I think we got accomplished what we were looking to get accomplished. Didn't really find a new home for the wiper motor, but you know, we'll just work around where it's supposed to be. So really didn't feel like re-engineering all that fun stuff. But anyways, hey, listen, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. We got a lot of modifications done, but quite a few more to do, and always more to do, I think. But anyways, let me know what you think, and if you got any better ideas or other things like that, let me know too. Leave me an email. I'll leave an email down in the description. But hey, I appreciate you guys so much. Really just having fun, and thanks a bunch for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.